Have you back with me on the lecture. So today we move on to 2019 on our UTME past question series. All right, get your writing material and let's get to work. Which of the following is a behavioral adaptation that protects prey from predators? That means that will prevent prey from being killed. Hibernation, no. Shedding of leaves, no. Secreting irritating fluid, yes. Yeah, because other ones talking about hibernation is eliminating trying to survive through a cold period, while shedding of leaves is to be able to retain water for the dry season for plant. But secreting irritating fluid scares away or irritates, as it is called, the animal away. All right. Then the dormancy talks about seeds, whereby the seed is alive, but I mean, it's just let me say it's alive there, like it's not dead, sort of trying to find a way to make it easier. But the answer here is C. The period of inactivity seen in some animals during long period of heat or drought. Heat, good. That would be estivation, B. Now, when an animal is staying, less active for a long period of time in the cold, we call that hibernation. But it says here, whether during heat or drought, that is called estivation. So I dropped something here for you, which I think is going to help you. You need to remember that you might want to pause the video when I'm done talking on this part, that estivation is done by warm-blooded animals, or we can say homeothermic animals, while estivation is done by cold-blooded animals, otherwise called pyroclorothermic, otherwise called ectoderms. Their own temperature is basically dependent on the environment, really. Right? And there's other one called brumation, and this brumation is actually a kind of hibernation too. All right, that's the one around here. You might want to pause the video to see all of these, but I think I've already said most of the things there. All right. Insect trapping movements of the leaves of the Venus flytrap is a behavioral adaptation for support over adverse condition obtaining food. The answer is obtaining food. Now, I think at this juncture you need to hear this, please. Now, you need to remember that this is the Venus flytrap that, well, doesn't only feed on flies, feeds on, I've seen it feed on frogs before, actually in documentary, not real life. However, you need to remember that the reason why they do this is because most carnivorous plants grow in the soil or in an environment where they don't have enough nitrate or say nitrogen. Now, if they don't have enough nitrogen, they have to find a way to make that. How? Remember that nitrogen happens to be part of a protein, and animals are rich in protein. So since they grow in soil or environment whereby they don't have enough nitrogen, so what they do in essence is kill an animal that has protein in it. While digesting the protein, nitrogen is removed. So it means that one major reason why they do that is because they grew up in an area where they don't have enough nitrogen. That is clear. Animals are said to be gregarious or gregarious, permit my pronunciation, when they what? When they move in mass. That should be they transmit information from one individual to the other. No. They are of the same species moving together in a group. Yes. Now it says they give an alarm to alert others to show the other animals protect behavior. No. The answer is C. It says they are of the same species, not just animals in group. It has to be the same species working together in a group, something like this. So these are actually some animals like that, like herds of that. You also have gazelles and all of that. They work together in group. So this is what gregarious will mean, or gregarious either way. The type of nutrition shown by Spirogyra is, well, the question is, what's Spirogyra? This is Spirogyra. It's a filamentous algae which is greenish in nature, which has chloroplast. Now, because of chloroplast, what does that mean? It can actually absorb sunlight energy, all right? So, and we have two major types of nutrition. We have what we call heterotrophic and autotrophic. Then the autotrophic means they can make food by themselves. Let me put it this way. Autotrophic, which can make food by themselves. We have the one called chemotrophic. Using chemical, we have the one called holophytic. Now, this one means the same thing as photosynthetic. All right, so the answer will be this. Why? Because Spirogyra has chloroplast, with which they can photosynthesize. And another word for photosynthesis means holophytic, based on the fact that they use sunlight to do that, and chloroplast and all that. And it says, which of the following pairs of organisms are photosynthetic? Paramecium and amoeba, no. Euglena and Chlamydomonas, yes. Both of them are. They both have that. So let's look at what they look like here. So this is what Chlamydomonas looks like. This is what Euglena looks like. They both have chloroplast. So this is the chloroplast of you can see what I'm tracing out. That whole thing is the chloroplast in Chlamydomonas, while for Euglena, the chloroplast is actually those ones I'm cycling like that. Those are the chloroplasts. So both of them have chloroplast with which they can photosynthesize. All right, hope that is noted. So the answer to this is going to be B, Euglena and Chlamydomonas. All right, moving on. The type of nutrition in which two organisms of different species live together and derive nutrients from each other is, it says, two different organisms. Okay. Now it says, okay. Now I want to be a bit, okay, let me be very blunt here. When it says two organisms, correct, benefit, derive from each other, in reality, the answer to what is said here is not in this option. I'm going to tell you why. Now, the answer that is correct in here is going to be symbiotic nutrition, so to say. Now, I want you to please pay attention now. When we say symbiosis really means, if you use the word symbiosis, sym means together. So symbiosis means two lives together. Whether they are benefiting or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, symbiosis doesn't exemplify, specifically say whether they are both benefiting or one is losing or one is gaining. So symbiosis simply means organisms living together. Now, that's now divided into what we call mutualism, which means both of them are benefiting, which is what this means. Deriving from each other, that's what this means. All right. Then we have what we call parasitism. That we call commensalism, what we call amensalism, and all of that. Now, the point I'm making is this. From what I just explained to you, mutual means both, like mutual. So that is not in this option here. But the closest is symbiosis. But I want you to remember this, that we only picked this because that's what made sense from this option. But real answer also be mutualism. All right. So the answer here is symbiotic nutrition, or for sure symbiosis. So this is what I just talked about. This is mutualism. This is cattle egret. This is a cattle, like that. I mean, a cow, I mean to say. And how are they both benefiting from each other? This is how they benefit from each other. These cattle egrets picks tick, which is an ectoparasite on the body of this cow. So it eats that as its food. And how does that help the cow? It helps the cow because the guy that gets to suck its blood is going to get to reduce. Let's imagine it has 50 all over its body, and this cattle egret was able to remove 10. That means as there are 10 less tick sucking its blood, which makes that it's going to be able to have more blood to itself. All right, that's mutualism. And this is another example of mutualism, which is leaching or liching, as some people call it, which is made up of fungi and algae working together, and two of them benefiting nutrient from each other. All right, the algae forms the food for both of them to feed on, and while the fungi protect both of them from adverse weather condition. All right. Which of the following statements about the similarities in plant and animal transport is correct? Materials and hormones are transported in fluid form. That made sense. The transport medium is made up of only tissues. Okay, I'm not sure that's correct. Their materials are transported in the same vessels. No. Navigation is not required. No. The answer is going to be A. Sorry. Okay. Materials and hormones are transported in fluid form. Yes. Yeah. That's the answer to that question A. I was trying to see this. Yes, that's the answer. Now, which of the following describes the function of lymph? I did mention, if you've seen one of my other videos, I talked about what lymph is. Lymph is actually the fluid that leaks out during gaseous exchange in the tissue. However, there are some structures called lymph nodes which produces some sort of lymphocyte which produces antibodies. So here it says regulation of body temperature, no. Production of antibodies, engulfing, and body defense. Well, we can pick the word production of antibodies, yes. Okay, I think I want us to pick, let me erase that. I want us to pick body defense. Why? Because what lymph does really, or let me say what lymph node does. Lymph is actually the fluid anyways. That's the truth. But lymph nodes, let me bring something out here for you. Yes. Let me bring this out more beautiful. This is what exactly I was explaining. I want you to look at this clearly, please. Now, this is the body tissue with the arrow I just put there. Now, while there's fluid exchange, where there's nutrient exchange between the blood and all of that, some fluid will drop here. So you can see the fluid here, which is called interstitial fluid, and that's like the lymph. So all of that will move into this lymphatic vessel, all right, and goes where? Into this node called lymphatic node. Now bear this in mind. So this lymphatic node, of course, produces something called lymphocytes. So lymphocyte produces what we call antibodies, right? So it means that the lymph that is flowing is going to have antibodies in it, really. So now let's go back to that option then. So it says, which of the following describes the function of the lymph? Lymph is a fluid of which now contains antibodies in it. And what would the antibodies do? Protect the body. So the answer is body defense. If the question had said what's the function of lymph nodes, we can say production of antibodies because it produces something called lymphocytes. But because lymph is just the fluid, which antibodies will then flow into it after it has been formed. That's why we picked option D. All right, so this is what lymph is and lymph nodes and all of that. Now, which of the following, one of the major ways in which the blood is able to defend the body against disease-causing organisms is absorption, clumping. The answer is clumping. What does it mean? It means that it causes when blood, which means the white blood cells that produces antibodies and all of those, goes and meets with an antigen, they break. Clumping means like you break something, you rupture, like you cause something to burst, so to say. That's what they do. So they do that because they can cause clumping, they can cause agglutination, like cause something to clump together or like form together and rupture at the end of the day. Which of the following is not a transmittable character in plants? Well, habit of growth could be found in plants. Resistance to environmental factor could be found in plants. lifespan could be found in plants. However, hemophilia, which is an inability of blood to clot, can only be found in animals. So this is not in plants. So this makes our answer correct. It says is not. So the answer is D, hemophilia. Plants don't have blood. They have cells, sap, and all of that. Now, inheritable character or features possessed by an organism can be referred to as traits. All right, we call it traits. Traits. Anything. Your complexion is a trait. Your behavior is a trait. Structure of the seed of a plant is a trait. Anything is called trait. So it can be inherited or it can be. All right. Which of the following structures controls the activity of the cell? Okay. We should remember that whether animal cell or plant cell, it has this major structure called nucleus, which controls all activity of the cell, which makes this the correct answer. Centrosome is actually structure that helps in cell division. Then we have mitochondria that produces energy, and we have Golgi apparatus, which helps to. So this is the mitochondria. The Golgi apparatus is not shown here. I mean, this greenish that appears greenish is mitochondria. It doesn't have to be green all the time, please. But Golgi apparatus is responsible for the packaging of substances. Let's imagine you have a substance here that needs to get to this place. It is the Golgi apparatus, Golgi body, Golgi complex, same name. It's the same thing that does the transfer of that. It looks somewhat like this, like you have stack of things together like that. Not quite exactly like that. All right. Which of the following are components of glomerular filtrates, please? Glomerular filtrates. Which of the following is that? Now, let me quickly explain some few things quickly. This structure I just circled is called glomerulus. And what role does it play? It plays the role of filtering blood, all right? So when blood comes in this way, unfiltered, then it comes this way and like that and comes in here. So what is here is called glomerular filtrates. Why? Because a filtrate coming from the glomerulus. Of course, it's not the only one that actually does the filtering. The Bowman capsule also does a part of the filtration, so to say. But the point is, these glomerular filtrates contain some things, and some things are actually absent. Now, bear this in mind. This filtrate ought to be some sort of waste product as well as some nutrients in it. It's not just, of course, this is what we end up becoming the urine. But the point is, it's not only waste product that is there. Some useful products are there. Why are they there? Because they were small enough to pass through the pores like that. So when they pass through the pores, they also escape with the waste product, water, and all of that. However, the good news is that as it's moving through like that, some of those good stuffs will be reabsorbed. Into the body. That's why we used to say formation of urine is in 3 stages: ultrafiltration, we have tubular reabsorption, we have tubular secretion. All right, so that reabsorption is one that actually takes out the useful things in the filtrates. All right, so it says here all components of blood except minerals. Well, this is wrong. If blood should come to these filtrates, something is wrong. Let's say somebody is having glomerular nephritis, something is wrong. Water and salt only? No, that's not the only thing there. It says all the components of blood except plasma, protein, and cells. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get some. It says, which of the following are components of glomerular filtrate? All components of blood except minerals? No. Blood and water only. Sorry, water and salt. That looks more like it. All the components of the blood except plasma protein. No. Plasma protein can... No. Then blood cells. No. Amino acid, salt, and nitrogenous waste. The answer I will pick here will be B. Now, the reason why amino acid is actually going to be there, but the problem is blood cells has made this wrong. This is also correct, but this blood cell makes D wrong. C would have been correct, but it says blood cells. A would have been correct, but it says all blood component, talking about red blood cells, white blood cells, all of those, no. So the answer is B, please. Water and salt. Actually, there are other stuffs there, really, sincerely. Glucose ought to be there. But what made others wrong is because of other things added to them. All right? The sum total of adaptive changes from pre-existing form that have taken place over a long period, a long time, resulting in diversity of forms, structures, and functions among organisms is referred to as, okay, pre-existing form that over a long period. That's evolution. That's evolution generally. That's evolution. All right. The specific portion of a habitat which is occupied by a particular species is referred to as ecological niche. There's a habitat, but there are different segments for different organisms. Beautiful. This is a fresh water, so to say. And you can, if you look closely here, this is like this. Let's assume there's a splash zone. We have different zones, and you can see different organisms, different birds feeding on different organisms at different parts. So the ecological nature of this flamingo is actually deeper compared to this dabbing duck, compared to this other one that feeds on insects, compared to this that feeds on oyster and all of that. So different ecological niche for different animals. All right. So niche means the position the organism occupies or the roles it plays, basically. All right. Now the next one here says, in plants, respiration occurs only in stomatal mesophyll cells. The answer is C, all living cells. All living cells. Any cell that's capable of living carries out respiration. If not for that, that means some cells will die, some will live. But as far as the cell is alive, it's going to carry out cellular respiration, as the case may be. Like humans too, all living cells in our body will also carry out respiration. All right. Now it says here, which of the following is an example of discontinuous variation? I said in one of the other videos that discontinuous variation is like those things that you either have or is absent. All right. Now it says here, the range in height of a pea plant from 30 to 50, that's continuous. There's a range. Now offspring including 2 male cats and 3 female cats. Let's put that as a peg there. It looks like something. Color of pear plants grown in the dark. Well, the color of plants varies, so color is something that could be continuous. All right. The adult weight ranging from 50 to 95, that's also continuous. The answer to this is B. You can either male or female. It doesn't, like I told you, discontinuous variation is like what you have or what you don't have. There's no midpoint to it. It's not like you're half male, you're half female. It's like you're a boy or a girl, or you're a female or you're a male. Nothing in between, really. Even though we've heard about pseudo-hermaphrodites, but I mean, that's not quite common anyways. So this should make it easier for us. Again, I deliberately added this for simplicity's sake and for emphasis sake. You see this height is changing like that. That's continuous. You can see when the graph is plotted, can you see it's decreasing? But all these are what's continuous variation. But this is discontinuous. I'm not sure if it's clear enough, but this is somebody having free earlobe or attached, either ability to roll your tongue, which is either you can do it or you can't do it. There's something like, okay, I can do it a little, but it's either you can roll your tongue or not. You can see either you are a female or you are a male. Talking about plants, you can see that the seed is smooth or wrinkled. There's no midpoint about it. So some variation is just whether that thing is present or absent in that organism. All right, you might want to pause the video here to rewind it or to focus on these things. Now, which of the following type of soil has the highest water retaining capacity? Which means when you pour water into it, it doesn't allow water to pass through easily. It holds on to water. amongst these, the answer is going to be clay. Let me show you something in a moment here. Okay, yes, I have it here. Now, the point is, sorry, I'm trying to remove that. Now, let me zoom this more. Yeah, this is the clay. Let's imagine 10 ml of water was poured into each of these 10 ml each. Then it passes through this. If you look closely, you will see that in here, it is lowest here, it is highest here, and it is like a mid here. The reason is because clay here allows water to, prevents water to pass through it. So it means that from the 10 ml I was poured into it, this is the little that came out. But for this one, I can promise you it's going to be almost everything that will come out here, because the particles are loosely packed. It just allows it to come there. This is loamy soil, which means mixture of sandy soil and clay soil with some humus, so to say. All right. So that's the meaning of water retaining capacity. And the reason is because here in the clay soil, the molecules, or let me say the particles of soil, are tightly held together. That's why it prevents water from passing through easily and causing little ones to be collected there like that. Now, rabbits cannot survive in an aquatic habitat because they have no gills. Yes, gills, for you to be in aquatic habitat, it means you must be able to breathe in water. And if you can't breathe in water, it simply means that you're going to choke. Because if any mammal tries to breathe in water without gills, it's going to end up breathing in water to the lungs, and that will end up killing the organism. So the answer is because they don't have gills. Which of the following substances pass through the root cell membrane by osmosis? Okay, well, let me say the answer is water. Let's say this is a plant like that. That's the soil. Then it has something called root hair cell, which absorbs water. Pay attention to this. The water goes in by osmosis, while the mineral salts, the minerals in the soil, goes in by what we call active transport. Why will I say that? Why would nature do that? The reason is because normally in the body of this plant, let's say it has it's going to have, let's say it has 50 sodium ion in the body of the plant, and in the soil you have, let's just say you have 10. You just have 10 sodium ion. From the law of diffusion, it is expected that sodium will move from here to the soil, but that is going to be bad, because it means that this plant will end up dying. But according to nature, from where it is little, we want it to still move to where it's more, because this guy needs to keep growing. So what happens is active transport forces the few sodium to where it is more. That's why energy is in there. So active transport means transfer of molecules of substance from an area of low concentration to area of higher concentration by the use of energy. That's very important. From low to higher by the use of energy. Why are using energy is because we are forcing them up against the concentration gradient. It's more here and it's lesser here, and yet you are making it to go up there. That's the reason why we say that's the meaning of active transport. If you've seen my lecture on cell, maybe that will also mean this. It's just the same explanation I just giving there. All right, moving on. Trees in savanna habitats usually have thick bark, which mainly is for what? Is to reduce rate of transpiration, no. Protect them from scorching sun, protect them from, okay, D, resist bush fire. Yes, when one of the major function is when the savanna is being set on fire for farming purpose, whatever it is, the trees, that thick bark prevents them from losing much water and all of that. So majorly it's to prevent them from bushfires and all of that. Now, competition among individuals of a population increases the what? Number of organisms, availability of nutrients, survival of the fittest, enlargement of the territory. Well, when you have organisms competing and they're of the same um, uh, species or population, even if they are not the same population, from what I have here, it can't cause number of organisms to increase. Never. Because in fact the resources, the food will become lesser, so there will be lesser organisms. A little bit of non-nutrients, no. Nutrients will be less available. What can only do here is to cause what? Survival of the fittest. So the ones that are best fit are the ones that will stay alive. So the answer is C. Competition amongst individuals of a species increases the survival of the fittest. All right. Sorry, that was. Now, in natural selection, in natural selection, Darwin proposed that evolution occurs because of the following conditions, except Darwin, pay attention to that nature select those that will. Okay, he said except. So which of them is not what he said? Nature select those that will survive to reproduce their kind. That's correct. There's a fierce competition amongst offspring. Okay. That the weaker offspring are eliminated. That is good. That's also correct. Food and other needs are abundant. No. The answer is D. All of these are correct with what natural selection means. Nutrients or food are not enough. That's why they have to fight to survive or have to. So the answer is D. He didn't say that food and other needs are abundant. Never. In nature, as we are humans, we can see that things are never enough. All right. Which of the following substance has the highest amount of energy in joules per unit weight? Well, let me say it here that fats, of course, has the highest amount of energy in it, followed by proteins, then least. Let's say this is 1, 2, then 3. All right. So the highest is fat. That's why if you eat a food that has more fat in it, it's expected that when it's meant to take you a longer time before you're going to feel hungry, because it's believed to produce energy for you for a longer period of time as compared to carbohydrates. Now, students used to mix this up. Carbohydrate only gives you energy faster, but doesn't mean it gives you longer energy. Please bear that in mind. Carbohydrate releases energy quite earlier or faster, but for the likes of fat, it's going to take a longer time. But when it's done releasing, it's going to actually take a longer time for it to depreciate or diminish. All right. Which of the following pairs of scientists discovered the resource factor in human blood? Well, Landsteiner and Lavin. Those are the names. As Carl Landsteiner and something Lavine. I'm not so sure of the first name of the second person, but both of them discovered blood group. Actually, they both worked together to do the most common person is actually Carl Landsteiner, really, but it's actually with also a collaboration with this person called Lavine or something like that. And resource factor is this RH positive, which means you have it, or RH negative, which means you don't have that. The difference between resource factor and ABO blood group is that for resource factor, you don't have a corresponding antibody. You don't have that. No antibody. All right. That's one thing you need to know. But in ABO blood group, normally what you have is you're going to have, if somebody's blood group A, is going to have antibody B. But in resource factor grouping, you don't have all of that. That's one major difference that I need you to remember. And also remember the fact that if you are resource positive, you can receive blood from a resource negative. But if you are resource negative, you cannot receive blood from a resource positive. So what I'm saying is RH plus can give to RH minus. All right. But RH minus cannot give to RH plus. So RH minus can only give to RH minus, which means negative. They can only give to themselves. All right. Of course, you know that RH plus can also give to RH plus anyways. All right. So moving on. The study of an individual organism or a single species of an organism and its environment is that's Otecology, that's option A. If it is synecology is groups of organisms in their environment, but otecology is just a small group of particular organism, or it could just be one. It's possible. All right. All right. Which of the following is a bacterium or is a nitrifying bacterium? All right. Well, what nitrifying means is the conversion of ammonium to nitrite. Sorry, nitrate. Nitrate. I take that again, from ammonium to nitrite. Nitrate. Now, what happened is this: to convert ammonium to nitrite, it is done by nitrosomonas, while to convert from nitrite to nitrate is done by nitrobacter. So, which means B is the correct answer. Now, this nitrate is what the soil can work with, really. That's why it must be converted. The soil cannot use, the plant cannot use nitrogen directly, so it must be converted into nitrate. And that is what we are trying to achieve here. So this one, called Nitrobacter and Nitrosomonas, are both called nitrifying bacteria. But amongst these two, I think the only one in the option there is option B. All right. Which of the following is the effect of using artificial pollination in plant breeding? Which means that you are the one consciously picking the pollen grain at desired, at necessary values, temperature, and all of that. Then you deposit on the stigma of the next flower. What that will lead to is improvement of the variety of crops. Yes, maybe you saw a plant that has particular characteristic or traits, and you want that in another plant, or you want that to become more. So you can actually just take the pollen of such flower from such plants and take it to where it is required. All right. Now, only specially adapted microorganisms are found in salty water, actually. Generally, yes, some organisms called extremophiles, or some call it phials, which means they stay in extreme weather condition. One of them are called halophiles or halophils, which means salt-loving, and we have some called thermophiles and all of that. So these ones prefer salt. So those are actually part of the old bacteria anyways, but we only call them old. They are still alive anyways. They are just found in uncommon places. So the answer is salty water. Plants which can survive in extremely dry places are called xerophytes, while hydrophytes, the answer is B. While hydrophytes are the ones that can survive in water conditions, while mesophytes are the ones on normal soil, not too wet, not too dry. So xerophytes are extremely dry, while hydrophytes very wet, like a marsh, like in the river. Then mesophytes are like a normal, so to say. So these represent examples of plants that grows in dry places. These are actually cacti plants and all of that. They stay in area that's it's relatively very, very dry, like in the desert. So that's why we have the cacti. Sorry, cacti, that's plural of cactus. One of these, this is a cacti. All right, moving on. The presence of dash for swimming in a tadpole enables it to do what in aquatic habitat. When we say for swimming, the context is swimming, that will be tail. So this is what a tadpole looks like. All right, this is a tadpole, and that's the tail for swimming. It also has gills for gaseous exchange. But the question here is actually particular about the fact that what does it have for swimming? Possession of thin membrane enables a tapeworm to do what? Okay. Tapeworm are basically platyhelminthes, which are flat segmented worms. They look somewhat like this. This is what they look like. That's the membrane there. So what does it allow you to do? Well, it allows you to absorb digested food So the answer is going to be C. So of course it has sucker and all of that, but this thin membrane also helps it to absorb nutrients from the body of the host, as the case may be. Which of the following juice contains the enzyme thiolin? Okay, thiolin is belongs to a type of enzyme called amylase, which means enzyme that digests carbohydrates, and amylase prefer to stay in an alkaline medium. So here the answer to this question is saliva. Thiolin is an enzyme that converts cooked starch to maltose. Alright, so the function of thiolin is to convert cooked starch in the mouth to maltose, and most, if not all, amylases work best in alkaline medium. Gastric juice is a stomach which is very acidic. Succose is actually meant to be called the full name. That be succus entericus is the collection of juice in the small intestine. So it's like, so this is in the stomach, this is stomach, this is small intestine. Of course, pancreatic juice is found in the pancreas, right? But thiolin is found in the mouth, in the saliva in the mouth. Which of the following substance is contained in vegetables? Well, that would be mineral salt. Mineral salt is what is essential and useful in there, all right, in vegetables anyways. Good quantity food will perform the following function in human body except supply energy. Of course, we're going to do that, providing resistance against malaria, maintaining health, sustaining growth. The reason why the answer is B. Malaria is a protist kind of disease. It doesn't really depend much on your immune system. All right, so if the question had said provide resistance against infectious disease or something like that, not even that way. It doesn't. Eating good food doesn't just mean if you are bitten by the vector that carries the pathogen, definitely is going to work in the person's body. So it will be wrong to assume eating well alone is enough. If that it will be that way, well, everybody that eats well should not have malaria. All right, so the answer is B. Which of the blood corpuscles are irregular and amyloid in shape? Okay, we have leukocytes, erythrocytes, thrombocytes, and plasma. Well, the category that could be irregular in shape will be your leukocytes, the white blood cells, really. Let me see if I can have that here. So when you say amyloid, like they can actually assume some sort of maybe kind of function, and actually these two neutrophils, monocytes and neutrophils, can actually assume that kind of amyloid shape because they have ability to engulf their prey and all of that. So that's why it is called. That's why we picked that. If the question was specific enough to talk about which of the white blood cells, which is leukocytes, probably can, but we can pick either of these two. That is not mentioned here. Which organ removes the largest quantity of water from the blood? I think I love this because some of these other ones remove water, truth be told. the lungs, when we breathe out, exhale air with what we are breathing out. If you want to confirm that, try to breathe close to a mirror. You're going to be able to see that there's this vapor that comes out. You're going to see some sort of steam. So that means water comes out from there. We sweat through the skin. The intestine also extract some water, so to say, from food. But the one that releases or removes the largest amount of water is the kidney during urination. All right. The movement of blood between the heart and other parts of the body besides the lungs is there's going to be systemic circulation. Systemic circulation. Primary circulation is between the heart and the lungs. All right. So double circulation talks about the fact that the blood passes through the heart twice, which is found in mammals and amphibians. Mammals and apes, which have 4 compartments, and passes through twice. Even other ones that have less than 4 still have double circulation, but it simply means that the blood passes through the heart twice. That's the meaning of double circulation. For example, in the case of human, it's going to pass through for pulmonary circulation. It's going to pass through for systemic circulation. So this is what I mean. So like from the heart to the lungs, from the lungs back to the heart, that is pulmonary circulation. It starts here and ends here. All right, that's pulmonary circulation, while systemic circulation starts here and goes like that around the whole body like that. All systemic comes back to that here. All right, so that's what it is. That's why it's called systemic circulation. It says all parts of the body except the heart. All right. The change in the genetic makeup of an organism resulting in an inheritable characteristics which is new, that would be mutation. Anytime there's a change which wasn't there before, like it just started all sort of, that is called genetic mutation. All right, so it is referred to as a mutation because it is not it wasn't inherited originally, but for the fact that it's started in that person and it is strong enough to actually to be passed on to the next generation, that is why it is genetic. We call it a mutation, as the case may be. Okay. The organic molecule or molecules present in the nucleus is or are. Okay. The answer is DNA. DNA. ATP is not in the nucleus. Let's even assume we can say mRNA in the nucleus, which is actually formed from DNA during transcription. This ATP made this option C incorrect. And RNA cannot just be in the nucleus by itself if there's no DNA there. So, because RNA is formed from DNA, especially the mRNA. So the answer there is A, DNA. Albinism is an expression of traits controlled by recessive genes. It's actually a recessive gene that you actually need to receive 2 alleles from both parents for you to have albinism expressed. Albinism simply means a case whereby you have the melanocytes that produce melanin in someone's body are not functional. Hence, the person's melanin production is low or absent, which makes the person susceptible to some skin issues, skin cancer, skin irritations. All right. The male sex cells, also called gametes, are produced in the testes by a process called spermatogenesis. Now, gametogenesis is generally a process whereby gametes are formed, which includes genesis, which means formation of egg in female, and this other one we mentioned just now, spermatogenesis. All right. Now, I think it's important for us to quickly remember some few things. That spermatogenesis takes place in a cell, a type of cell called seminiferous tubule. Let me zoom that some more. Seminiferous tubule is a place in the testes in which sperm cells are formed. However, they are stored in the epididymis. So please don't forget that seminiferous tubule is the site in which sperm cells are formed. When they are done formed there, they are stored in the epididymis. All right. Which of the following describes an example of fertilization in higher organisms? Fission of sperm and egg nuclei, pollen grain landing on sticky stigma, ejaculation of egg and pollen grain, ejaculation of sperm into the female's body. The answer is D. Now, you probably tell me, why didn't I pick A? Well, most organism that carry out sexual reproduction, we find a way to make their sperm cell to hit with the egg nuclei. However, ejaculation is a method of reproduction that prevents wastage of semen, of sperm cells. So it's actually directed into the female's body, which makes things which is less wasteful. That's quite advanced in itself. All right. Now this is the mushroom. The part label 3, the above, is called, okay, that would be the hyphae. Hyphae actually tree-like structures. Even this is also made up of hyphae, but collection of hyphae forms mycelium. All right. Now, so this is, if 3 is hyphae, this is Peleus. Let me write that again. Peleus. That's the name of that crown. That's Peleus, and that's what mushroom is made up of. All right, and then it also has underneath here. This is called gill. It can also be called gill, like normal gills, like GILL, gill. Yes. Now, the organism above can be found in, which is mushroom, can be found, actually grow in damp or say moist area, which makes D correct. Moist environments. They don't grow in very aquatic habitat or secluded environments. If it is moist, it's going to grow. If it's not moist, it won't grow there. Possession of chloroplast in Euglena viridis enables it to photosynthesize, which means carry out photosynthesis. Option B. Chloroplast is what they use to make food, which most of these organisms, of course, chloroplast is used for photosynthesis anytime, any day, really. So that's Euglena there. So you can see the chloroplast. These are all those greenish substances, chloroplast for this. And don't forget that Euglena is an organism that has ability to feed like an animal and also to eat its food. So it has animal-like structures plant-like characteristics and animal-like characteristics. The animal-like is because it has eye spot, it has flagellum, it has what's that called? Is that gullet to swallow or to eat its prey, and it also has chloroplast. Now, for plant characteristics, for photosynthesize, it stores some sort of carbohydrate, pyrenoids, and all of that. Here, viruses are pathogens of the following diseases except. Of course, this is caused by bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, while these and these are caused by viruses, while this one is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. All right. The association between two organisms living together in which only one benefits, keyword, only one benefits from the association while the other neither benefited nor harmed, that's a plus and plus and zero. That's going to be commensalism, which means the plus is the animal gaining, and the zero is the one that is not affected nor harmed. So in this case here, this is like remora fish attached to the shark. So the shark is the zero, which neither gains nor lose or get harmed, while the remora fish is gaining. How? It gets, when it moves with the shark, the predators doesn't get to kill it. Some of the chunks of food from the shark can actually feed on that. Then also it moves, so it doesn't have to use its energy to swim. It just walk with the strength of the shark just propels it and carries it along with itself. All right. So basically, that's commensalism. All right. And let me remind you here that the plus and zero is commensalism. The plus and plus is mutualism. The plus and minus is what? Parasitism, whereby one is losing and the other one is gaining. Which of the following will have the least effect on the rate of change of the numbers in a population? Which of the following will have the least effect on the rate of change of the numbers? Least effect. Mutation, food supply. Okay, the answer is mutation. Mutation happens every now and then. The effect is going to be little. You might actually end up having much effect later, but food supply, when there's no food, organisms start dying. Outbreak of diseases, whether it's more or less, it's going to either increase. When the diseases are more, organisms will die more. And when diseases are less, they're going to increase. Then predation, if a lot of predators start killing prey, it's going to reduce the number of those prey. So mutation is least a factor. Which of the following controls all voluntary actions? All. The answer is cerebrum. I think we've mentioned that before, right? The cerebrum. I kept showing this over and again to make sure it sinks. So this is cerebrum, which controls voluntary action, all right? And this is medulla oblongata, which controls involuntary action like heartbeat, breathing rate, swallowing, and some other kind of things. Really, I believe that a part of swallowing is beyond your control, right? And a lot of other involuntary functions. That's what medulla oblongata controls. But cerebrum controls all voluntary action. Olfactory lobes is for smell, right? Hypothalamus controls water balance as well as temperature regulation and some other involuntary actions, while pulse variola just connects the two halves of the cerebellum, or it connects two halves of cerebellum together. I said cerebellum, not cerebrum, please. Cerebrum is connected by corpus callosum. Now, which of the following statement describes an autonomic nervous system? It always stimulates effector. Activities are voluntary, no. It deals with extreme stimuli and their responses. It affects glands, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. Well, the answer here is D. It always stimulates effector. It does that, but it from what I've put here, this is the autonomic nervous system. The effector are actually muscles. Yeah, but let me say this here that the reason why I chose these because most of the functions of autonomic nervous system are internal, which includes glands, cardiac muscles, and smooth muscles. Like almost everything, most of the structures here fall under that answer in D. Now, activity, of course, B is outrightly wrong. Answer is D. B is outrightly wrong. C says it deals with extreme stimuli and their responses. Well, it doesn't have to start working when there's extreme stimuli. It works all the time. As I'm talking to you now, it is working. That is what is causing my heartbeat and all of those things. Is how is working with. Is controlling most of the involuntary actions. Now, get it straight here. Don't be confused. Like what I thought you said, medulla oblongata controls involuntary actions. Yes, the medulla oblongata is the part of the brain that does that. However, when we talk about autonomic nervous system, we are talking about all the nerves that comes out from the brain and spinal cord. So it means that some of these nerves will come from the medulla oblongata. That's what it means. So it means that you can see the medulla oblongata is actually the source, the origin there. For not all of it anyways, for some of the involuntary functions, and it is executed by autonomic nervous system. Or let me say this in case you've forgotten that the nervous system is divided into central nervous system and peripheral. Now, the central nervous system is made of brain and spinal cord, which is this and this, while the peripheral is made up of all the nerves that come out, also that originate from the brain and spinal cord. All the nerves put together forms the peripheral nervous system. Now, amongst all those nerves, there are some that work to control automatic functions, involuntary actions, and those ones are called the autonomic nervous system. That's how it is written here. It says peripheral autonomic nervous system, because we have the ones that are not autonomic, which are voluntary, like the nerves that's making me to move my hand this way, that is voluntary, that's somatic, all right. While the nerve that's controlling my heart, connected to my heart and my lungs and all that, those ones are from the autonomic nervous system, which we also know that it can be divided into two, either sympathetic, which means to maybe increase action, and parasympathetic is to reduce action or work under normal circumstances, right? So you can see it here, it says here, look down here, this one works under stress, this one maintains homeostasis, all right? The glomerular filtrate contains the following except, okay, it contains water, it contains urea, it contains glucose, but will never contain blood corpuscles except there's an infection in the glomerulus or something's wrong with the kidney or with the nephron, as it were. Like I did mention in this same year that glucose is not a waste product, but it escaped with the glomerular filtrate because of the fact that of its size. However, it will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream. If it's not reabsorbed, that means there is an underlying effect, maybe such as diabetes mellitus. One of the following is not the theory of natural selection stated by Charles Darwin. Characteristics acquired through use or disuse are transmitted to offspring. And this is the answer, because that was done by what? Jean Lamarck. Jean Lamarck is the one that actually proposed that theory, which of course we know it is wrong. Variations appear by themselves in the population, that's correct. Hereditary variations are transmitted to offsprings. Species that are fittest for the environment contribute more offspring to the next need of the generation. So B to D are all examples of what Charles Darwin said, why A is not part of his theory. Ecology is best defined as the study of the interrelationship between living organisms and environments. Option B is our answer there. Okay. The following process are involved during expiration in man, except expiration means exhaling or when you breathe out. Now, hear this clearly, please. Now, when you breathe out, okay, the sternum, okay, the first one says the intercostal muscle relax. Yeah, it does relax. Yes, that's correct. The thoracic cavity first increases in volume. When you breathe out, it doesn't increase in volume. Thoracic cavity rather reduces in volume. Now, I think that okay, let's take note of this one. Let's see other options. The sternum moves inward. Well, when you breathe out or when you exhale, the sternum moves inward. Sorry, when you exhale, yes, it moves inward because the rib cage reduces like that. The ribs are moved downward and inwards. The answer to this question is D. A, C, and D are all correct for exhalation or expiration, which means breathing out. All right. So you should know that when you exhale, so when you inhale, reverse will be the case. All right. Like this particular one you're seeing here is happening when you inhale. All right. Like I just inhaled now, the thoracic cavity became bigger, right? Now, I added this for you might want to pause the video here for you to see the differences of the events that happens when we inhale or when we exhale. You need to know those things. It's going to really help you to answer questions when need be. And let me say it here, I don't know, you can be asked in a tougher way. How? What do I mean? Now, these intercostal muscles here, we have two types anyway. These intercostal muscles, we have two types. We have the internal intercostal muscle and external, right? Now, in reality, let me tell you what happens. When you are inhaling, I'm going to write it here. When you inhale, your external intercostal muscle contracts really, and the internal one relaxes. While when you exhale, the internal intercostal muscle contracts, and the external one relaxes. Please take note of what I just did now. However, most times for O level, it is correct to just say when you inhale, intercostal muscle contracts. When you exhale, intercostal muscle relaxes. Yeah, that is partially correct, but in reality, it's not all of the muscles that are contract or relaxes. Some relax, some contract, because if this were to be your ribs, all the muscles that connect the ribs like this to each other outside are called external, while there are some that connect the ribs to each other on the inside. Those ones are called internal, right? Issue. Pay attention to that. Which of the following is an example of continuous variation, which means it has mid values or varying values? And that would be D, which is height. I think we've done this like for a while now, severally. So height can be very short, mid height, and all of that. Now, one of the following is an effect of clay soil on vegetation. It supports luxuriant vegetation such as forest, no. Supports scanty vegetation, that's correct. Does not support light vegetation, support arid vegetation. One of the following is an effect of clay soil on vegetation. Well, it actually supports, I think I will go with B, scanty very. Okay. Well, arid vegetation means, I think let's work with D. Arid means like grassland, nothing really. Wow, this is a bit I'll go with B, please. Scanty vegetation. Clay soil doesn't really help plants grow all that much, right? Let's work with that, please. Which of the following factors is not considered a terrestrial habitat? Okay. Temperature is on land, is both for land and aquatic. Sunlight for both. Humidity is strictly for aquatic, so it's strictly for land. While turbidity talks about how clear or how dirty the water is. That means that's for aquatic. How dirty or how clear the water is, that's for aquatic. Then it says here, what type of vertebrate assists in breathing alongside with the ribs? Oh, I mean this, maybe I guess this means vertebrae, please, not vertebrate, vertebrae. The one of the bones of the back, vertebral column, assist in breathe alongside with breathing. Well, that's going to be thoracic, yes, because as a matter of fact, the thoracic vertebra is the one that has the ribs connected to it there. So it's found at the thoracic level where the ribs are actually found. And the truth is, the ribs are attached to the thoracic bones, vertebra at the back, and attached to the sternum in the front. All right. In an ecosystem, the organism which changes light energy into stored chemical energy will be the producer, which is always the first to start every food chain. The producer is always the first to start every food chain, always the first. In the theory of use and disuse, Lamarck proposed that evolution occurred because of the following excepts: natural selection of offspring, there is a great changes in the environment, organisms develop special characters, the characters are inheritable. He said, okay, there is natural selection of offspring. Well, he didn't say natural selection, that was Charles Darwin's theory. So I think the answer is A, while the other ones are actually subset or explanation of him talking about use and disuse. All right. The basis of growth involves the following process except. Well, in fact, the sequence is going to be cell division, which is B. After that, you're going to have cell enlargement, C. Then you're going to have what we call cell differentiation, D. So this is a sequence of growth. So cell reduction, that isn't part of growth process. All right. Now, which of the following organs can be considered vestigial in humans but functional in other animals? Well, in humans, this guy called appendix, which if it is inflamed, it becomes, we say somebody has appendicitis. That structure is appendix. So it's vestigial, which means it's like a remnant of evolutionary kind of structure. It doesn't have any use. When you remove it, you're still as good at your life. It doesn't do anything in humans, really. The study or which involves interrelationship between groups of organisms or species of organisms living together in an area is, that's going to be synecology. Yes. Study groups of organisms. Autoecology that we saw sometimes ago was a particular organism, one singular individual or only a small species. But this one talking about groups of organisms or species, organisms living together in an area. That's synecology. You're studying them together. So that's C. Then thunderstorm can be beneficial to plant because it helps to fix nitrogen. Yes. So it helps to add nitrate to the soil. So one of the factors that helps to convert atmospheric nitrogen into soil nitrate is thunderstorm. So that's one of the nitrogen fixing processes in nature. All right, a flowering plant having both the male and female flowers on the same plant is said to be monoecious. Example is your maize. Maize, let's say this is maize plant like that. This here, it always has something. This is the cob here that has that there and has something coming out like that. This cob is actually a female flower, and this tassel is actually a male flower. So this is monoecious, like having two types of flowers on the same plant. While there's another one called dioecious, which is down here, whereby this is a plant, this is another plant of the same species. From this one only has male flower on it, which we call staminate, please. Staminate is the name for a flower that has only the male, that has stamen alone, and this one will have only pistillate that has pistil, or let me say carpel alone. So same thing here. So this one is having staminate and having pistillate, but on the same flower. Please don't mind my handwriting, please. So having two type of flowers on the same plant is called monoecious, but having only a type of flower on one plant, having another type of flower on another plant of the same species. Example is purple. This is dioecious. All right, that explains that. You might rewind the video to hear this some more. And this is actually a long one anyways. It took 80 questions. All right, so that will be all for now. I'm going to see you in the next past question.